Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our RotarX session at Rotary Club Beirut Cedars. Welcome to Rotary. Rotary is proud to welcome you to our global community of more than 1.2 million men and women dedicated to building a better world. You make Rotary stronger by adding your skills, experience, and enthusiasm to your club. This RotarX session is different. This week, in recognition of the Armenian genocide, President Biden in the United States recognized the genocide of the Armenian, which happened 106 years ago. And this week we have Maestro Harout Fazlian that will make us listen and explain Tchaikovsky's Romeo and Juliet. However, I give the floor to our club secretary, Jean-Marc, who will give you further notes. Go ahead.
Thank you, IP Ronnie. Before we start our interesting experience tonight, let me just give a brief for non-Rotarians and Rotarians from other clubs. Rotary Beirut Cedars was founded in 2010. We have been serving our community for the past 11 years. Starting this Rotarian year in July and until January, we have invested around $1,144,294 US to help our community. We have various projects in the 7 areas of focus. Basically, we're working a lot on the food box project, where we are helping out as much as possible needy families all over Lebanon. And we are aiming actually to cover the whole map of Lebanon. And in addition to that, we had our efforts and we worked really hard after the blast that happened in August the 4th. And we are working on several more projects throughout the year. And basically, we want to create a positive impact in our communities. And our theme is onwards and upwards. And from there, I would like to give the floor to Monsieur le Consul, Jean-François Parmentier, to start this exceptional meeting tonight.
Ladies and gents, friends of the Rotary Club Beirut Cedars, thank you for being with us tonight. After a series of webinars about the Lebanese crisis, about the COVID-19 vaccines and the reconstruction of Beirut, our club wanted to help you get through these very harsh times and offer you a relaxing moment. We will not try for once to address the current Lebanese or regional key issues. Today's session will be about art and more precisely about music. To use a famous quote, where words fail, music speaks. There is most probably no better way to understand classical music than with a renowned conductor. Mr. Harout Fazlian has accepted to help us decrypt Romeo and Juliet, the very famous piece of music composed by Tchaikovsky. He will also explain the role of a conductor in a philharmonic orchestra. Harout Fazlian is known for his passionate conducting style, and he is also the recipient of the Officer's Medal in the Arts and Letters from the Republic of France. He's also known for playing an essential role in rejuvenating and popularizing classical music in Lebanon. He is also known as one of the pioneers in the fusion of different styles of music in the Middle East and beyond. In July last year, Maestro Fazlian conceived, directed, and conducted the Sound of Resilience concert that has been produced by Baalbek International Festival. It was watched by more than 20 million viewers all around the world and was considered epic and historical because it was the first big cultural event and also a premiere in the Middle East after the confinement due to the COVID-19 crisis. Maestro Fazlian envisioned this concert as an act of cultural resilience, unity, and hope. He started his musical education at an early age, in Beirut first, and then later in Montreal, in Canada, where he grew up. He has advanced degrees with honors in symphony and opera conducting, in addition to a PhD in music education. Currently, he is the principal conductor of the Lebanese Philharmonic Orchestra. He has always been inspired by different musical styles, but also different art forms. He is known for his pioneering ideas, revolutionizing the traditional classical concert by combining visual elements, poetry, and scenography, narrating the musical story in his unique impressionistic style. For the past 15 years, Harout Fazlian has had an extensive artistic relationship with the Gulf countries. He has conducted, arranged, but also organized concerts and events for the Dubai International Financial Center, Abu Dhabi Authority for Cultural Heritage, Sheikh Zayed Book Awards, Sharjah as the 2019 UNESCO World Book Capital, and so on. He has also arranged, recorded, and conducted the version of the UAE national anthem. On the international level, he has also guest conducted several concerts with major orchestras in almost 20 different countries. Ladies and gents, sit back and relax. You are about to travel in time and in space. Tonight, we bring you to Verona in Italy into a tragic love story. Mr. Fazlian, thanks again for your support to our club's activities. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Tchaikovsky. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. It is an honor for me to be here. I am really excited about this. And it has always been one of my missions to always kind of explain what music is about. It is usually very easy to feel music, but I think that if we understand it in some way, then we get a double appreciation of this incredible art form, which we cannot do without. Let me just start because we have a long time to listen to this music. Let me start by saying, through the evolution of music, through the times, also musical instruments evolved. Once musical instruments evolved through time, the style of playing also evolved with this. With the instruments being played in different ways and pushing their limits, the possibilities and the tonal characters of each instrument became even wider. I am saying this because Tchaikovsky, as a romantic composer in the Romantic time, is a perfect example for us to see how an orchestral musicians, 100 people playing together with these different colors, can be really mixed and blended so beautifully together, still keeping the timbre, the texture, and the colors of the instruments in their specific way. If we look at the music of, let's say, the Baroque era, or if we look at the music of classical era, there's always there was a conversation in the music phrases. There's always a conversation. Composers wanted to do a conversation among themselves or with their philosophical ideas through music. So music had this dialogue in them. But as I was saying, that when instruments became more, were capable of doing many different things or creating different sounds, and orchestras became wider and larger. For example, if we take the classical era of Haydn and Mozart, we know that the orchestras were small orchestras. We call them orchestre de chambre, or even small symphony orchestras, which were consisting of 35 to 40 people. When with evolution, with Beethoven, as you know, I would call him the god of music himself, Beethoven came and he opened the new door of the possibilities of orchestral music. How? By expanding and pushing the limits of contrast. This is a very important word to use, contrast, because out of all the musical genres, I feel that the classical music is the only one that has many layers of contrast. If we listen to jazz music, of course, we have a contrast between the piano and the drums and the bass. These are just 3 or 4 instruments. If we listen to rock music the same way, And if we look at classical music, incredibly, we have so many layers of contrast, not only between the instruments, but also in the field and the range of sound. And these will be shown to you, and I will make you hear this in Tchaikovsky's Romeo and Juliet, because it's fantastically shown and written.
Mr. Fazlian, you are muted.
Now I'm okay?
Oh, it's okay.
I hope I wasn't muted all this time. I was talking to myself.
No, no, no.
I was so happy. I was making, saying nice things, and then I'm talking to anyways. So in Tchaikovsky's Romeo and Juliet, we will hear this incredible contrast between the different sections of the orchestra. You will hear the difference between the strings, les cordes, the strings, which has a timbre on itself, and the wind instruments. They will be clashing and they will be dialoguing together. This is one. We will hear a contrast between low sounding instruments and high sounding instruments, again, clashing with each other. Each instrument has its timbre. When the violins are playing, you will hear this lavish sound. But when the trumpets come in, it's very harsh, and the brass comes in, it's very harsh. So there's big contrast in that. It is beautifully done. It's incredibly that Tchaikovsky wrote this when he was 18 years old, and it is really a masterpiece. It's an endless masterpiece. And this is in the Romantic era, what we call program music. If we go back a little bit further back again in the classical era, there was no such thing as program music. Music did not have titles. It was very abstract. Of course, but to me, every music tells a story, definitely. But here in the Romantic era, musicians, composers started putting titles to their music, either putting titles or taking stories and creating music for that. Now, Romeo and Juliet, we all know the story of it. In Tchaikovsky's version, it does not go scene by scene. It is not here, this is happening, this is conversing, they meet here. It's not like that. It's an overall general idea and general mood that he puts in. But it is incredibly done. And you will notice also how he creates tension. He builds this tension. So what I would like to do is, I would like to start listening to the music. And some points I will stop it and I will direct you what we heard or we will hear. And I would really commend you to, when we finish tonight, this webinar, if you could go back and on your own and listen to it again without my interruptions. I apologize for that, without my interruptions, and just absorb it really in your own way. The beautiful thing about music is, yes, we do know about Tchaikovsky's, Romeo and Juliet story, but the beautiful thing about music is that just like books, that we can create our own colors, our own ideas, our own pictures, our own moods and situations. Without further ado, let's start with the Tchaikovsky. It's a cyclic work, which means it starts in a certain mood and it finishes in the same mood. It will start, and Tchaikovsky writes this in the mood of a prayer with the Friar Lawrence, the priest who helps Romeo and Juliet escape and then marries them. So it starts as an Ave Maria prayer. You will hear it. It's very somber. So it's from the beginning, Tchaikovsky is putting on in this somber mood. After 3 or 4 minutes of this, creating this cloudy sound, we will hear small hints of something is about to happen. And it is really incredibly done. So with no further ado, I'm gonna start playing the music, and I will stop some places and direct you to what to listen to. Okay, and here we go. Share screen. We can also see the screen, yes? Good. Here we go. This was all only wind instruments. Here we come with the strings. You get hints of tragedy here. Also, Tchaikovsky was fantastic in putting layer and layer on top of each other. Is hinting here a little bit of the softness and the romanticism and love theme in here. Also, Tchaikovsky was a master in using the harp. He used it a lot, especially in his ballets. Now we have a contrast between the strings plucking it and the winds playing the legato sounding. Okay, just a couple of words. As I told you, there's the contrast here, contrast in the timbre. If you notice, and you will notice that he's not only letting the strings, which are instrument that is bowed and they have a beautiful lavish sound, he recreates something else. He is plucking the strings like a guitar. So it gives it a different feeling to it. And on top of that, another layer, another color where the woodwinds playing this very soft music, soft and legato, lié sound. This creates again a beautiful contrast and sound. So far, we are in one mood. The mood is very somber mood, and there's a hint of their emotional tenderness, but not yet. But we will see that from here on, how slowly he starts to create that something is about to happen. The use of harp here is you see that the music stops and the harp is just floating. The music is just floating. And it's very static because it's preparing us for for this. First hints of something's about to happen. I apologize. Again, a contrast. What he did was, in the beginning, he had this somber mood all the time, and then he just gave a hint of something's about to happen. But for what's going to happen, for it to have even more of an emotional impact, he came back. He stopped it and he sombered it again so he could restart. And this is something that was created by Beethoven. Beethoven, if you listen to his symphonies, he always does that. He takes 3 steps forward and then he steps one back, he takes 1 step backwards. That will give him more inertia and to go 4 steps forward and then back and forward again. So this was created by Beethoven, especially in his later symphonies. It is incredibly done. After the 3rd symphony of Beethoven, you could really see that. So this is Tchaikovsky. Of course, Beethoven opened the doors. That's why he is the god of music. He opened these doors for everyone. So Tchaikovsky is taking that same philosophy, of course, changed it very melodically. So he created this mood. He gave us a hint of advancement, of something's going to happen, but then he brought it back. Why did he bring it back? Because we will see what's going to happen next. What comes next will be more powerful because of his coming back. One more thing, another contrast is the volume, low and very high. Look what happens, how it creates tension here. Okay, we're going to go back a little bit again. So here we created tension. Sorry, the contrast. Let me explain and we'll come back so we'll understand it more. So what he did was contrast in speed. It was slow. He was making faster. That's one contrast. And here you could hear a perfect dialogue between the 2 families. I always, when I conduct this, I imagine that there are the low sounding instruments and the high answer. So these are probably the 2 families in the story of Romeo and Juliet, the Montego and the Capuletti. So you will hear they're playing the low strings, and answer, high winds. So they're just dialoguing, and then they're gonna be on top of each other. And then you'll see how powerful you can get. I'm just going to go a little bit back, if you don't mind, so you could prepare this. Again, a contrast in timbre, a contrast in low sounding and high sounding instruments, contrast in pianissimo, and then coming up to the fortissimo and crescendo, and also contrast in tempo, if it's slow and then faster and faster and faster. So he's always creating this beautiful contrast. That's probably the greatest thing about classical music, how much contrast you can create in different ways. So I'm just going to bring it back a little bit, please. There you go. I think this is fine. I apologize. We'll go a little bit back. Okay, this is the softest part, and then we'll go ahead. So listen to the dialogue between the low and the high, and then how they clash together. high, low, together. And let the tension go. Have to tell a story. After all this clash, we're going to come back. Now we're going to come to the love theme. Everything is disintegrating. Reminiscent, an echo. I will stop here. This is now, again, another contrast. Now we have another contrast, the contrast of themes. Theme, if we had in the beginning the prayer theme, then the contrast was the clash between, let's say, the two families, the low and the high, clashing together and then playing together, right? They came in and they resolved to this high with the cymbals and as if it's a swords fight, whatever you want to imagine, it's up to you. And after this tension, he has to give me another contrast. And the contrast he does is now brings in the love theme. And this is probably one of the most beautiful music ever written. It's so, Tchaikovsky was so amazing in creating melodic lines. He was so good at it, really. Fantastic music he has, melodic. So here we will have two themes, two love themes. One, we call it a famous love theme. And the second one, and you will feel it, is the caressing theme. That's why I always tell the orchestra, when you will hear there's a place where it goes, it's, or you could feel that as if it's caressing. And all this, I will let it go. I will not disturb you till it fades away, till you will hear this love theme, as if Romeo and Juliet are truly, they're making love in the purest way. And they come to the end and we'll hear only just the contrabass playing, boom, boom, nothing. As if it's to me, I imagine always this, that it's the last flicker of a candle. And it's almost after a beautiful night, they're all together and then and the last note is that last candle goes out and they are in pure, beautiful world together, but reality sets in again. And that's what we'll hear. So I'll try not to talk. Difficult for me, but I'll try. Love theme. Night is ending. Probably the first flicker of light is gone, and the sky is, I feel that the sky is changing colors here. From night, it's becoming dawn. But again, he's slowly creating tension, yes? He's building. It doesn't matter what you have, Romeo and Juliet, you're alone. That's not important anymore. The world outside is much aggressive than what you have. And that's reality. Incredibly attention. Look at this. We're going to come back after this whole clash. We're going to come back to the love theme and the caressing theme. If in previously, the first time it was very pure and it was only Romeo and Juliet, and we felt this mood, we felt they're just alone, both of them alone. And now we will hear the same theme, but in the background, you will hear there's this murmur. It's restlessness. It's no more that pure, beautiful theme. It is there, but there's a small in the background. There's restlessness. Something is happening. Something is not right. And then he blows, and Tchaikovsky here just comes out and does this beautiful, the love theme that everybody knows it's been used and misused and abused so many times for the past 150, 200 years. I'll let you, we'll hear all the love theme, and then we'll come back. I'll stop it and say another section of it. There we go. That love theme, now it's broken because intense. But the world is outside. And he will mix match again. He will come back to the love theme now. I have to stop here. I'm going to go back. Sorry. See what he's doing now is first he gave us a hint of the love theme and what's outside. What he does here, he mixes two themes by cutting it. He's doing the love theme, starts it, and then he cuts it abruptly of that fight. Again, he comes back to the love theme and cuts it. Come back, and it's just creating incredible tension. This is one of the most beautiful things to really listen, hear, and obviously conduct. It is just incredible. I'm just going to go back, so please listen to this, how he's giving this breath of love and then cuts it, and you know, it's just incredibly done. Here we go. Announcement. Tragic announcement. Healthy. And cut. Love theme. Cut. No more love theme. That is so much tragedy there. This is so intense. He got to this climax, it's incredible. And as the conductor just said, he just quiets everything down. And in the score, we have a big silence here. For us to know what's going to happen next, again, we come to contrast. Right now, we will hear in the background the drums and the basses playing like Marche Funèbre. It's in the background. There's like the heartbeat, it's just a march. It's a very solemn march. And then you hear the strings playing this very sad, very, very sad and tragic music. And then after that, we will come back as in the beginning to the prayer of Friar Lawrence, which I call that like the Ave Maria type. It's just a prayer. So these are the sections, and we come to the finale. And the camera goes up. And the camera goes up. Looking up to the horizon. The colors has changed. Very expansive. And okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really an amazing experience to listen to that piece of music with your explanation along the way. It really has a different taste when you explain us and you teach us how to understand and appreciate that very famous piece of music. I am pretty sure we have already a lot of questions, and I already see some yellow hands, but if I may, I will start with the first question. Could you please tell us, could you please explain us what is the role, what is the function of a conductor in an orchestra, and what does it take to be a good conductor?
The role of a conductor, as a matter of fact, as you saw in this orchestra, there's about 100 musicians there, 100 personalities, each one with his own way of seeing, thinking, and feeling the music. So if we let each person, and all due respect to all of them, if we let each person play the way they want, it will be a catastrophe, because each one will play in their own tempo. Because when we say we have to slow down here, there's not really, it's not slowed down by how much, by 4 meters, by 2 kilograms. There's no, it's an abstract thing. So when we say slow down, so everybody has their own slowing down. When I talk a lot with my hands. I'm a very expressive person. So maybe there's movement in my way of conducting or listening or hearing music. Somebody else might be very calm, so it's different. So what the conductor does is brings everybody together and they all play in the same color, the same idea that as the conductor sees. The conducting part probably is not difficult from all the experience that I have had through my life. And I'm still trying to figure out what I'm trying to do. I'm still learning. So what the difficult part is to convince these people, because I am actually not playing an instrument. I am not playing the flute or the piano. I am playing people who are playing the instruments. So the difficult part is to convince them with your, and you only have your hands and your facial expressions to tell them what you want to do, for them to follow you. So that's the difficult part, is convincing them, come on this journey together. You have to trust me on this, and I respect your feelings, but well, mine are better. No, I'm just kidding. So that's the role of the conductor in a nutshell.
Do you need to be
a conductor? To become a conductor, being a conductor, I guess, just like anything. Well, it's a leadership role. We have to understand that, because you are leading people, and you have. I think you have to have that inept in you. Of course, we study this. Conducting is a métier. It's just like an instrument. We study for years and we practice for hours, just like a pianist would or a violinist would. We also practice, and there's a methodology for this for years, 7, 8, 10 years. You study to become one. What do you study? What you would do? What we study is for your hands to be able to express exactly what you are thinking and you are feeling through your hands. And once you are able to put this triangle together, I think every profession is like that. When your intellect, your emotion, and your technique are linked up, you're on a good track.
Could you explain us the how does it work with the hands? If I'm not mistaken, one hand is for the tempo and the other one for something else. Is that true, or is that not always like that?
Not really. It was like that because conducting also has evolved for many years, for the past, well, from the turn of the century, the 19th, the 20th century, even before the end of the 19th century, when the conducting as a profession came. It was Berlioz who started it, saying conducting other people's music and having his own interpretation. And there was a very big, big confrontation between the first conductor, Hans von Bülow, and Wagner. And the composer, Hans von Bülow, wanted to say, okay, I'm going to conduct your piece, but through the way I see it. And the composer was saying, oh, no, you cannot do that. You have to do exactly what I want. So conducting went through many phases. It's true that the baton, as a matter, what is the baton, as a matter of fact? We carry this little thing, and some people would do it without, and some people do. Well, this came from when they really had the stick, the baton, and he used to hit on the ground to give tempo to people, to play in tempo. And that changed slowly. As a matter of fact, right now, the baton is an extension of my hand. That's exactly what it would be. I have a pen somewhere here. If I take the pen and I do it and I hold it, right away, I just made an extension of my hand. And that's what exactly it is. Maybe in 30, 40, 50 years ago, it was to 1, 2, 3, 4 to give the beat. But now we already, the orchestras are so good. Also, the music has become part of our subconscious. You're almost born with knowing the Fifth of Beethoven, for example. It's in our psyche. So musicians already know it and play, so they don't have to really listen to the rhythm. Of course, you have to keep them, but at the same time, you have to really have a leeway. It's like, I guess, riding a horse or flying a plane. You don't actually fly, you just let the plane find itself, or you correct it sometimes. And that's exactly what we do. We sometimes let the orchestra play and it's stabilized. If you see that it's losing, you hold it back. You know, there's different ways to do it. So that's what the hands does. Now, of course, it depends on the conductor. Some are very rigid, some are very expressive, but you can say that the right hand is to keep the tempo, for example, and the left hand is to give the gesture of how the music should be.
Thank you. We have another interesting question in the chat window. Is it possible for a conductor to get frustrated from disagreement while watching another conductor conduct? Do you think that each conductor has his or her own interpretation of the piece of music?
Well, absolutely, and we don't like watching other conductors. If we could shoot them, we'll shoot each other. So, but I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yes, you know why? Because everybody sees it differently. We all see things. We all see. Let me put it another way. If we have several people in one room, 10 people in one room, and we put in the middle of the room a red apple, and we give each person the same paper, the same amount of colors of red and white, and the same brush, and we tell them, please paint this. It is a fact that we will have 10 red apples, but each red will be different according to how I see it. If I am sitting on a lower level and I'm looking at the apple which is up, I'm looking at it in a different way. It's still a red apple. It does not change. It's not going to become a banana. It's a red apple, but my angle, the shadow, that the way it's hitting, to me, it's different. If the apple was down here and I'm looking from the top, it's still a red apple, but I'm looking in a different way. And that's what conductors do. We take the music and we kind of conduct it the way we see it, in a different angle. You take the camera and you could take a picture, but depending how you're looking at it, some are really boring, some are very boring. And one day, There's a piece of music by Franz Schubert, the Eighth Symphony. It's the unfinished, an achevé symphony, unfinished. One day a man was conducting it in Beirut, as a matter of fact, and I thought to myself, this is not unfinished, this is unending. It's not finishing, okay? It was really, so it's that boring. So yes, we can look, but sometimes you look at conductors and it becomes such magical experience. You say, man, how does he getting that sound out of these people? It's incredible. It's a leading thing again, you know, and energy. Each person is different.
Thank you. We have also another question that has been asked by our president, Hagop. I can imagine that a conductor is always a musician himself or herself as well. But do conductors play specific instrument? Can you become a conductor if you play the triangle or the drums, or do you need to be a pianist, or do you need to play the violin to become a conductor? Is there a more logical way to become a conductor as a musician?
Well, there are two ways. One is sometimes musicians study an instrument for all of their lives, a violin or a piano or whatever, and then they have the quality to become conductors, and they do. And that's been happening a lot. But in the early days, it was a métier just to study conducting. But our preferred instrument is the piano, because the piano is a multi-tonal instrument. I could put 10 fingers on that and I get 10 notes, even if I want 12, let's say, notes at the same time. So when you're reading the score, the partition of the orchestra, you could decipher it by playing this. If I was playing the flute, I could play only one note on the flute. On the violin, the most I can play is maybe 4 notes because it has 4 strings, but it's already broken, you know, and so on. And trumpet, I could play only one note on it at the same time. So it's more of a melodic instrument than polyphonic instrument. So the piano is the preferred choice for conductors to have in their hands. But yes, a pianist, many pianists, like the great Ashkenazi, for example, he was a fantastic conductor also. Rostropovich, a great cellist, he was an okay conductor, not really. But Karajan, for example, played fantastic piano, but was not a pianist, but he was just an incredible pianist. Riccardo Muti, the great Riccardo Muti, which I love very much, he plays fantastic piano, but he's not a pianist. Like, he would never go on stage and do a Tchaikovsky or Beethoven or a Mozart piano concert. He would not do that, but he has the instrument in his hands. Okay.
Thank you so much. A comment slash question from Birgit. She says that your interpretation of Romeo and Juliet was absolutely amazing and so convincing. How could it be interpreted otherwise? Do you have an example of a different interpretation of that piece of music?
Now, musical interpretation, this one is close to how I hear it also. There are some places I make it more aggressive even. But what I was explaining to you, this is all, I don't know what that conductor is thinking. I visualize things because I come from a theatrical background because of my father as a theater director and my mother as a painter. She does aquarelle. So all my life, I've seen things, I've grown up in this as colors and theater. So to me, as I said before, I try to tell a story in each music that I conduct. I try to make a story out of it, even if there isn't, as if I'm making a film. When I say the flicker of the light, it doesn't exist. I am creating it myself. This is the way I see it. If people agree with this, that means it is convincing. You know, for example, here in this music, if I come and say, oh, you could see Romeo and Juliet, for example, walking on the beach, holding hands in the sandy. It doesn't. It's wrong. I mean, to me, it's wrong. Maybe somebody else will come and say, well, that's what he sees, and it's good, but I don't see it. I see the somber mood. So I create these interpretations, which in return comes out musically, because I am visualizing these things and I am explaining to the orchestra what I'm seeing. I tell the orchestra, look, when you're playing this very fast part, I tell them, you know what, don't give me the color blue here. There's no blue here, there's no yellow here. It's got to be very, very probably aggressive, that red that you can see. That's what there is in there. It's not even black. You know, there's no, black is not even a color. So this is what, maybe somebody will come and say, no, you know what, play it. It gives a little softer tone. It depending what angle you're looking at. Again, it's your camera movement.
I think that I see that it's already 7 o'clock, but we still have a few questions. So I think we can stay a bit longer together. A funny question. One of our members or past president Tony Caldani, he says that he finds you very rock and roll. So what kind of music do you listen besides classical music?
Okay, I will tell you what I listen to, and I will just show you what I listen to. Can you see this? Does anybody know do you know what this is? This is Pink Floyd.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, and that's. I want to say thank you for observing that. I grew up in rock and roll music when I was in Montreal. When I was growing up, I mean, come on, I was growing up in the 70s. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. I was growing up in the 70s in Montreal with rock and roll, and I used to play rock music. I used to have a band and toured Montreal, not only Canada and the States, we're playing rock and roll. You know what? Yes, exactly, absolutely. I'm so surprised you said that, because that's exactly what I do. I bring that rock and roll approach, that the intensity, that energy that rock has, and I put it in Beethoven and in Tchaikovsky and in Brahms. It works. I cannot put that maybe in Mozart. That's why I do not conduct Mozart, because it's not for me. I do not conduct Haydn. It's not my style. And I, as an artist, first and foremost, I have to be honest with myself. And if I'm honest with myself, my music will be honest. And when the people come and watch and hear and they express, they will see that there's an honest person doing what he really, you know, trying to say something. So yes, rock and roll is all the way.
I think we still have time for maybe 2 questions. An interesting one. Is there a specific sensitivity related to the nationality of the composer? Is there a difference, for instance, between Russian, Italian soul, for example? And does the conductor takes this into consideration?
Absolutely, absolutely. There is a big difference between an Italian composer and a German composer. I mean, Germans are different than Italians and or Scandinavian composer, or American, Armenian. Yes, absolutely. But I keep saying this now, especially now that I'm here. I'm saying, you know what? There's 2 kinds of music. Only 2 kinds of music. There's good music and there's bad music. So at the end of the day, this is such masterpieces that I, an Lebanese Armenian, that born in Lebanon, grew up in Canada, studied in the Soviet Union, did my career in Montreal, did my career in Beirut. I've been all around, okay? This person, I'm not saying that I'm good or not, this is not the question here, but I take music and I understand. If it's, the Spanish have told me that, my God, did I study in Spain? I said, no, I don't even speak Spanish. I just know sangria, for example. That's the most Spanish that I know. Okay, for example, the Italians think I'm Italian, German. Why? Because their music is so international. And if you approach it with your full emotion and understanding of what it is, then it becomes really true. You cannot fake it. And each, of course, each composer, first of all, when I'm conducting a piece, I do a lot of research. Of course, I know a lot about the composer, but I still dig in more, especially what was he, where was he, what was he doing, his state of mind in the time that when he was conducting this. That really helps me understand why he wrote it and how he wrote it.
You just said something on the research you do. I was also doing some research earlier today on Tchaikovsky, and I found an interesting quote that I like, actually. He said, apparently, inspiration is a guest that does not willingly visit the lazy. So if I can imagine that if you have chosen this piece of music for tonight, I can imagine you have a special relationship with Tchaikovsky. Why do you like his music?
That's so expressive. It really, you know, it's so personal emotions involved in it. It's just absolutely great. And at the same time, I like to conduct a lot Wagner, because Richard Wagner gives me another dimension of emotional, which is more ethereal outlook of music. It's just incredible. I do like Tchaikovsky, and at least my wife tells me that I conduct that very well. So I have to believe her. I can never argue with my wife. So it's.
I think we could listen to you for hours. Unfortunately, I see that we are already past the time. Once again, I would like to thank you. It was really an amazing experience. It's very interesting to listen to your passion and your really your sense for your feeling for the music. It was really a great webinar. I see that our president Hagop is back online. Maybe Hagop, you want to say the closing remarks?
Yeah, thank you so much, Monsieur le Consul, and thank you so much, Harout, for this amazing presentation. Honestly, you took us dreaming in our sad days, and this is really fantastic. I don't want to make this conclusion very long because I want us to stay a bit in this mood. Understanding the music was really fantastic, and I think the stick that you have in your hand is because you're a magician, making all these people move like this with their instruments and taking us in all these emotions. Thank you so much for having been with us today. Thank you so much for this amazing presentation and explanations, and looking forward to see you all with us. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, and please don't spare me. I love to do this. Let's get together again. And remember what you promised me, Hagop, okay?
We will, and you'll get it. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
Bye-bye.